comes to mind when you think of the best drummer to have ever played with sticks? Made a name for himself by just being a drummer for the Beatles? Nothing? Well, we'll save you the trouble. Better known by his stage name, Ringo Starr, and an absolute magician when given drumming sticks. There's so much you probably didn't know about this guy. And in today's video, we'll share some of these facts with you. Welcome to Yellow Submarine, where we share the latest news and stories in the entertainment industry. Before we go on, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a thing. Sir Richard Starkey, better known by his stage name, Ringo Starr, was born on the 7th of July, 1940 in Liverpool, Merseyside, England. He was a talented musician, singer, songwriter, and actor who was the lead drummer for the Beatles, one of the most influential bands in rock history. The celebrity drummer had quite an interesting upbringing. Growing up in the working class era of Liverpool exposed him to quite a lot of things. His parents both worked at a bakery, even though they later separated when he was still a kid. So even though you might know him as the guy with magic hands on the drums, here are some facts you probably didn't know about Ringo Starr. Number 1. One of his major challenges as a growing child was his frequent illness. As a kid, Ringo Starr suffered terrible bouts of sickness. He was always sick. There was a time he got to spend a year in the hospital because of the complications he had from a ruptured appendix. When this happened, Starkey was 6 years old. Everyone thought this was the end of his hospital bouts. However, further complications earned him 2 years in a sanatorium after acquiring pleurisy at age 13. In the course of the 2 years, a health worker introduced him to the drums. This particular health worker gave children musical instruments to amuse them and keep them engaged. Yeah, you guessed that right. That was where Ringo's love for music developed. Surprisingly, Ringo did not inform his bandmates about his poor health while growing up. The other Beatles never knew about his health history until all four were swimming together one day, and the others saw all the operation scars on Ringo's stomach. Number 2. Ringo is multi-talented and involved in other things apart from music. After Ringo was finally able to leave the sanatorium, he did not continue schooling. Instead, he worked various jobs. He was trying his hands on everything he could come across before he eventually settled on becoming an apprentice joiner for an engineering company. While working for the engineering company, he and his colleagues went ahead to form a shuffle band owing to his love for music. He got involved in music, improving his drumming skills, and grew the band. In 1959, Richard became the drummer for another shuffle band, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. That was where he got the nickname Ringo Starr, which he used as his stage name. The new band he joined as a drummer became quite popular. They went for shows, gigs, and different engagements. It was during one of the shared engagements in Hamburg, West Germany, that he got to meet the Beatles. He met John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Pete Best. They realized they had some things in common, and they bonded pretty well. After a while, Ringo had to leave his shuffle band after bonding with members of the Beatles. In 1962, he replaced Best and became the new drummer of the Beatles. Ringo's groove, steady beat, engaging, and awesome personality were enough to earn him lots of fans in just a few months of joining the band. The popular drummer had always been known for trying his hands on so many things right from when he was young. He released his first 2 solo albums during the 1970s. His album, Sentimental Journey, consisting of standards from the 1930s and 40s, and Beaucoup of Blues, a collection of country music, were both hits back to back. Ringo also had different hit singles to his name in the 70s. Hit singles It Don't Come Easy, 1971, Back Off Boogaloo, 1972, and Photograph and You're 16, both 1973, all added to his fame. He, however, continued to release albums and play on solo records for Lennon and Harrison. Yes, Ringo Starr was also an actor. He appeared in different films, including The Magic Christian, which launched in 1969. He also published 2 books on photography titled Postcards from the Boys in 2004 and Photograph in 2015. The popular Ringo drummer can best be described as jack of all trades, or even skills, this time around. Even with his involvement in so many things, he still got to give his fans the very best of himself. That explains the many awards he has to his name. In 2002, the English actor and drummer were inducted into the prestigious Percussive Arts Society Hall of Fame. He joined fellow inductees, which included big names like Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, and William Ludwig. These are people that Ringo admires. It might interest you to know that he always uses Ludwig drum kits. In 2015, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even though the Beatles had been inducted as a group in 1988, he got inducted on his own in 2015. That was such a great feat for him. He got to receive the award for musical excellence. He was also made a member of the Order of the British Empire (MBE) in 1965, and he received a knighthood in the 2018 New Year honors. Number 3. Ringo had a really strong personality and had always planned on relocating out of England before he finally chose the Beatles because of money. Moving on, you could tell that Ringo had always been a people's man with a strong and alluring personality. It's also safe to say he had the most fans among members of the band. Everybody loved Ringo and wanted to watch him play. Back then, in 1964, when the Beatles came to America, Ringo was the most popular Beatle. Out of the 4 members of the band, he received the most fan mail. No one would have thought he would have joined the Beatles because he planned on relocating with a friend around the same period he joined the band. In 1961, a year before he joined the Beatles, Ringo and a friend tried to emigrate to America. They wrote to the state of Texas about leaving England and relocating there. They got involved in the process and became serious about moving there. Well, according to Ringo, the process was just too long. Also, there were just too many forms to sign, and they abandoned the idea. A year later, he joined the Beatles. He had other options though, as at then, another band also needed his services. He, however, chose the Beatles over them. He got the offer to join the Beatles and another local band called the Dominoes in August 1962. When asked why he opted for the Beatles, his answer was simple. He said the Beatles offered him more money. They offered him £25 a week to the Dominoes' offer of £20 a week. Number 4. Ringo had an alcohol addiction. Ringo once admitted to having an alcohol addiction and breaking out of it. According to him, he had been on this with his wife, Barbara. Ringo claimed all he and his wife get to do since they got married is sit down and take alcohol and even drugs at some point. At some point, he was said to be putting away 16 bottles a day, plus pills. One friend said at the time, they've both been drinking heavily for years. Ringo and Barbara also are cocaine users. They were snorting up to a gram of coke and a half a gram a day respectively. He spent about 2 decades of his life with his alcohol addiction. He experienced more blackouts, his health deteriorated, and he ended up seeking professional counsel. It took him a while to get out of it, but ever since he got out of it, he has been more sober and productive. Number 5. Starr was the first Beatle to smoke marijuana. Who would have thought that Starr would be the first Beatle to have the first puff of marijuana? On the 28th of August, 1964, the Beatles were introduced to marijuana by Bob Dylan. They had just finished a gig and decided to relax at the Delmonico Hotel in New York. Bob Dylan offered it to them, and it was Ringo who took the first puff of weed. We can't tell if he continued after then, but he took the first puff before other members of the band joined in. Number 6. Ringo suffers from so many food allergies. Most times, when the band gets to eat out, he is always very picky and particular about what to eat and what not to eat. He also has a very weak stomach. He does not eat tomatoes, curry, onions, Chinese food, or any spicy food at all. Even after appearing in a Pizza Hut commercial in 1995, Ringo has never eaten pizza all his life. When asked why, he claims he is highly allergic to onions, garlic, and so many spices. Number 7. Ringo Starr is a left-handed drummer, even though he loves playing right-handed drums. So Ringo is particular about things, even down to setting up his drums. It's surprising how he plays right-handed drums even though he is a left-handed player. When playing a normal beat pattern, he plays strictly right-handed, but when he goes into a fill, however, he leads with his left hand, making his strokes sound unique. According to Starr himself, it was the limitations brought on as a lefty drummer playing on a right-handed drum set that helped to create his playing style, and he has surely influenced a lot of drummers. Number 8. Ringo is the oldest and youngest Beatle. Yeah, so this might look confusing, and I'm sure you must be wondering how and why. Okay, so age-wise, Ringo Starr is the oldest member of the Beatles. Born on the 7th of July, 1940, he is currently 81 years old. Even though he is the oldest Beatle by age, he is still the youngest in the band. Ringo was the last person to join the band, technically making him the oldest young Beatle. With all that has happened in Ringo's life, Ringo Starr has still managed to look good at 81. Appearing at an awards ceremony the other day, you could see how fresh and elegant he looked. A lot of celebrities, fans, and admirers wasted no time in asking what his secret is to young looks. Well, the oldest and youngest Beatle, however, revealed the secret is simply late nights mixed with lots of healthy diets. Before we end today's video, what do you think about Ringo's personality? Do you find him weird, funny, or ambitious? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if by now you haven't, ensure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new updates from us on the Beatles.